Hey everybody, welcome to Co-opted Tries, a new series where we're going to try out new games and demos to give our first impressions. Buzz, why don't you tell them what we're playing today?
Today we are playing The Crew 2. I'm actually very excited about this one because I was a big fan of The Crew, or at least when we were playing it. It was a very up and down roller coaster of a game for me, to be honest, because I bought The Crew when it first released, and I was really excited about the idea of The Crew, and I didn't like it at first, mostly because I didn't have any online friends to play with on PC and things like that. So it was very lonely, and there wasn't a lot of people playing. But then when we got it, years later in the Humble Bundle, it was like a whole different game playing with a second person, and that made me really excited for this one.
Yeah, a big part of what made the Crew kind of special amongst racing games was the open world it had and just driving around. And that's a lot more fun with a second person. At least I found it to be. It's relaxing and it gives you this great sense of scale and lets you learn how to drive. But if you're not with another person or have any motivation to do that, you end up just fast traveling anywhere, which defeats the purpose.
Yeah, me and you we like going across country and having our own little personal races and doing the challenges along the way. There isn't many challenges in the beta of the Crew 2, and that is. I suppose we should let them know that this is in fact a beta for the Crew too.
Why don't we show them something here? I am showing that there's a race up here in New York, so let's go take a shot at that. Now, for those of you watching, may notice that Buzz is driving a car like a normal person, where I am driving a motorcycle. This is because motorcycles are superior vehicles. Not stat-wise, they're just motorcycles are cool.
Oh, for sure. Yes, as far as we've seen in the game, you definitely have a higher acceleration on your bike, whereas my top speed trumps yours. At least it does when I'm not waiting up for you. So you said we're heading to New York.
Yes, we were in Washington, and we're gonna take a trip north here.
Awesome. It seems that while driving in cars, we also get to do a formation thing, and we get points for that. Now, for those wondering, this game seems to work a lot on fan base. The first game had a story mode in it. It was all about avenging your brother's death, climbing the ranks through this underground league of racers, criminal organization, rather. And that was pretty much it. You worked with the FBI, you tried to get a bunch of NPC crewmates, and you got revenge. This one doesn't seem to have that much of a complex of a narrative, but there's all sorts of different things in this one that wasn't in the other game, such as planes and boat races that did not exist in the original Crew game. And you can do those on the fly, and I'll show you by if I hit the right stick, I can switch between the different things like boat and plane, or just my car. I'm sure if I were to hit the boat button on the highway, it would be a terrible mess.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. I'm a danger to everyone around me.
That you are.
Look at it. As you may have figured out, we are covering this because the Crew is primarily a co-op game, and it's very rare to actually see a co-op game in the racing genre of things. So we're excited to see how that plays out in its entirety. The first game, while it did also have co-op, obviously didn't exactly have a reason to have co-op. Like, your buddy can play with you and do all the races and story missions that you could do as well, but there wasn't necessarily a need for them. It just allowed you to play through the story with your friend, and as long as one of you got to a particular position in the race, you succeeded at that mission.
Yeah, I do find that the tone of the game has shifted from the first one. The first one really pushed the crew idea. You know, you're a crew, you're this gang, and you're forming up to take territory or to push out the narratively, to rise up through the underworld. Where this game's kind of just let it become a multiplayer mode, and it's like, nah, just play a racing game with your friends. And for what the content it provides that's probably the better option.
Oh, definitely. I can't imagine, since it's just a racing game, I don't know what you'd be able to do on a developer standpoint to really force a co-op experience on people. Like, you need to have a friend to complete this mission.
Well, there were some things in the first one that I really liked, like the parts where we're running somebody down to get the cargo or whatever, so we got to be running into him, and those were a lot more fun with the second person, because I tried some of those alone, And when you got two people, you know, you're strategizing, we're working together to like, oh wow, you try and cut them off, I'm gonna go this way. And that was really cool. And I haven't seen much of that, so it seems they've taken out some of those for some more traditional motorsports modes.
So we've arrived at our first mission here, and this one's going to be a street race. Now, while there isn't a heavy narrative like in the original Crew, this one still has the narrative, as I mentioned, regarding, you know, we want to rise the ranks and become popular. So that's what this game's all about, is gaining followers through social media and things like that, and gaining money to get better cars, as, you know, a normal racer would have.
Yeah, the setting seems to be some sort of global motorsports festival where they're trying to bring out all the best in the world to make their mark.
Yeah, very similar to something like Forza Horizon's style of gameplay, where it's all about just being in a big festival of racing and just doing the best you can. Almost too similar, I would say, but still enjoyable for what it is. I mean, it's got, if you liked the playstyle of the Crew and how it controlled, it's pretty much the exact same, I find, at least with cars. I think you mentioned that the bikes felt a little floatier. I don't know if you still feel that way or not.
Yeah, you get used to it. They tend to try and lean back out of turns a little before you're ready, but it's nothing you can't get used to. The Crew's probably, it walks that line between a driving sim and an arcade racer, where if you like the idea of a game like Forza and realistic cars, things like that, but you're not huge on the driving sim aspect, want something a little more arcadey, the Crew actually does a really good job of walking that line, where it still feels realistic, but you're not struggling to drive in most cases.
Now, a bit of info to touch on. It was the same way in the original Crew, but this one, while you can customize your car, and it does get pretty detailed, like you customize the drivetrain and the engine and all that, and there's actually advanced modes where you can fine-tune every aspect of your car and how it races. It does work on the original Crew's number system. So unlike, let's say, an older game like Need for Speed Underground, where you had brand names and you were applying those parts to different parts of your car, this one is just, you know, it'll just be like drivetrain with a value of 204, and so to upgrade it, you need to find a drivetrain with a value of 205 and higher. And I think that makes it accessible to a lot of people.
Yeah, it works similar to, it's basically like a World of Warcraft or other MMO loot system. You're going to have an item level for it, you're going to have epic, screens, and different rarities, and you're basically just going to equip the one that has the better stuff on it.
And speaking of equipping, as you might see on my screen, I just picked up a blue box and a green box. At the end of the game, it offers loot, like a lot of adventure games, but it's not a loot box or anything, thank God. It is just, you get a thing and you apply a thing, which is very nice, because we hate loot boxes here at Co-op10. They are the bane of gaming existence.
Yeah, I can say, regardless of anything else, much of the Crew 2, at least in beta here, hasn't seemed to fall ill to a lot of the trappings of the current AAA industry. Yeah, I'm not seeing a ton of stuff locked behind paywalls. As my good friend Buzz here just said, there's no loot boxes that we can see, even for cosmetic stuff. Everything looks to be unlockable if you play for a not unreasonable amount. They do have the option for a paid currency that'll become available to, you know, if I really want that Ferrari. But if you don't want that, but still want that Ferrari, it's still available to you. And there's no random chance. You can just save up and buy it.
Alright guys, so what we're going to do for you next is we're going to skip ahead a little in the timeline, and we're going to do a different kind of race. Probably either what do you think, an airplane race?
Sure, let's take it to the sky.
Alright.
So we'll catch you then.
Alright guys, we're back. Welcome to Lake Tahoe. We're going to do an aerobatics race.
Indeed we are. I've sent the invite to my crewmate. Here we go.
The planes are actually very easy to fly. Now here's a thing that I wasn't sure I wanted to mention, but I'm gonna do it anyways. When the Crew 2 was announced, I think it was like 2 years ago at E3, it seemed like I was a bit hesitant on it. I didn't know if I would like the whole extreme sports thing, losing the narrative and going with what it is. I've warmed up to it a little bit now, but I feel as if they played their hand a little bit too early, because the fellas at Rockstar seem to have gobbled up all the ideas that the Crew 2 had and used it for their online mode. As you might notice, or if you played Grand Theft Auto 5's online, they got a lot of stuff that the Crew 2 is now offering, such as fast switching between boats, planes, and cars in a lot of their online races, and even the controls for a lot of these things work exactly like Grand Theft Auto. So yeah, I feel that Grand Theft Auto capitalized on the information that was given, and have a full game with that while also being able to do the Crew 2 in their multiplayer.
There we go. Ah! Alright, here we go. Here's that nosedive. Let's go, let's go. Boosting nosedive. Because I am a daredevil.
Oh, I seem to have crashed into a boat.
Don't do that. That poor boat.
I wouldn't mind owning a boat one day. Cruise around on Lake Ontario with it. I was hoping this one would be a race, but it doesn't seem to be the case. This is just kind of a tricks challenge. But, you know, what can you do?
Dude, where is that lake? I need that lake. Oh no. I gotta fly low to the ground through the trees! Like a maniac!
This is when you cut loose again.
I've been flying over the lake for the last little while.
I think you win.
I do? I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, look at your ranking. You're way higher than I am.
Alright then.
Unfortunately, I left towards the forest, and then it wanted me to do a bunch of things that involved the ground.
It seems I've won this. Which is excellent. Alright, so why don't we move on to our first impressions?
Yeah, I mean, the Crew 2 for me, I think it's got its niche in that I want to drive real vehicles, but I hate driving sims. And for that, I think it does a great job. The loss of the narrative does kind of hurt it, in my opinion, because I felt that needed to be expanded on, not ditched. Now, being a beta, perhaps they're going to do something with the, you know, the whole racing festival thing. Because we have met characters, per se, rivals and things, so there might be something in there. I'm eager to see where it goes. This is definitely a game we'll be checking back on.
I like everything about the Crew 2 so far. Again, like you said, the loss of narrative is a bit of a bummer, but they clearly wanted to push it somewhere else. Obviously, most likely due to the majority of the people in the crew not caring that much about the narrative, I'm guessing. So they just ditched it for what people wanted, and that was just more vehicles, more modes, and more racing. So, you know, Ubisoft's got to give the people what they want, whether or not you and I want it.
Well, time will tell. Many people want things, and then, I don't know. I've learned from a lot of other games that giving people what they want isn't necessarily what they actually want, but, you know, it's a way to take it, and, it's not necessarily made anything bad, so, we'll have to keep seeing where it's going.
Alright guys, thanks for checking out the Crew 2 with us. Sadly there won't be a playthrough as far as we know, because we don't feel that watching us race, you know, for hours on end would be very exciting. But, you know, you should probably check it out. It's currently in closed beta. We got the invite because we're cool. Probably just out of luck. But you might too. You can register at thecrew2.com. I believe there might be some slashes in there, but a simple Google search will get you on your way. So if they do ever do an open beta, definitely check it out. When does this game release? Do you know?
June 29th is its current listed release date.
June 29th. So there's not that much time left. I doubt they're probably going to do a big open beta, maybe in the last weekend to kind of stress test. So keep your eyes out for it, and definitely give it a check out, and you can decide for yourself whether you want to buy it or not. So that's all for today. Thank you guys again for checking out our video. Don't forget to like and subscribe as it helps us out. Leave a comment below if you want to let us know how we're doing. And thank you again for watching Co-op Din, guys. We'll see you later.
Ciao.